So when we follow the visual cues, what we notice is that can't feel my face is actually the first part of this whole entire engagement. So the first engagement, the Weeknd's performing, the devil flicks a cigarette on him and it lights him up on fire. Then Tell Your Friends is the second video. The reason that we know this is because at the end of Tell Your Friends, the Weeknd drives off in a black car, and at the beginning of The Hills, that black car is flipped over in the middle of the street. So really the story that we're being told is that the Weeknd is getting in a car, driving back to The Hills, and the car is flipping over where he's stuck in this loop and he can't get out of the deal that he's made with the devil. So again, just to recap that, The Hills is actually the last video in this series telling the story. Can't feel my face? Boom. He gets turned on fire. The devil gives him the spark. He's dancing, performing. The crowd's going crazy. Tell Your Friends is the story about him trying to get out of that deal, burying himself while he's still singing, going down a separate path from God to do so, and then trying to shoot and kill the devil. And in that moment, he thinks he has success, heads to The Hills, and of course, The Hills being that final video where his car is flipped over and he's walking out of it, only to be met again with the devil that he's trying to escape. Whether the Weeknd is telling this intentionally or not, the message is very clear. He is stuck in this deal that he's made with the devil, and there's no getting out of it. Now, what does the Bible tell us about how we look at these different things that we're navigating? Because I'm not criticizing the Weeknd. I'm not saying the Weeknd is this bad guy. Even though he is a puppet, even though he is pushing this agenda, he might be trying to get out of it, and that's what he might be trying to tell us. So the deal that he struck, even if he's fully aware of it, or even if he's not, he's bound by it and he can't get out of it. So when we look in the Bible, this is what we see when we think about really what this conflict looks like, the good versus evil, God versus the devil. Ephesians 6:12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. We're not fighting flesh and blood. We are fighting something we can't see. We're fighting something that has power beyond what we know. We're fighting something that requires a spiritual counter to it. When we're looking to fight the devil, we can't do it with our own two hands. And even in the video, even though the Weeknd's trying to bury himself to get out of this deal, he's trying to kill the devil, he ends up in this loop where he's confronted with it again and again and again because he can't fight it off with himself. Not to mention the devil has been trying to make these deals for a long time. We look at Matthew 4:8, we see it right here with Jesus himself. Again, the devil took him, Jesus, to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. All this I will give you, he said, if you fall down and worship me. Away from me, Satan, Jesus declared, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. So the devil's been trying to get people to worship him by giving them things and offering them what he can within his power for a long time. Again, we're not wrestling against flesh, we're wrestling against principalities. So in the same light, it's not that crazy to think that in the music industry, in the film industry, in a lot of industries, the financial industry, the devil is using what he can, what is unseen through his demons and whatever else, to strike these deals with artists and lock them into these contracts where they can't get out and where they've made this deal. Whether that's a recording contract with physical paper and ink, I don't think anyone's pricking their finger and signing with blood necessarily, but these are real life, not only physical, but spiritual binds that are being placed on these artists. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to say that spells are in these songs, but I promise you that committing these songs to memory, committing these melodies to memory, are going to impact your spiritual life in one way, whether you know it or you don't.